Hey everybody, this is Timothy Bennett here with B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. Tonight's going to be a special episode, given that we are going to show some new material that we've been working on. Me and the fellas have been working on a new show called The Average Man, and basically it's us being able to talk about everyday current events, this and that, everything that is under the sun that we don't have to be experts on. It's basically our average opinions, thoughts, knowledge, and we started to kind of hash some ideas out, and we decided that the first couple episodes were going to be an interview. So in this episode here, Aram and Jason interviewed me, and that's what you will be listening to tonight. So hopefully you enjoy, and we will keep you updated when we start to release the show. So everybody have a good night and enjoy. Welcome everybody to The Average Man. This is Timothy Bennett here, and with me always is Aram Banyan and Jason Chandler.
How we doing?
I'm all right. Besides, I forgot my name for a second, but
All right.
It's okay, I said it for you.
that's all right. You're just an average man. I get it.
So today, what do we have on the docket today, gentlemen?
We, Aram and I, are going to interview you, get to know you a little bit more, so these listeners can get to know you a lot more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that was well said, actually.
It's a very strange cadence, but other than that, I think it was well said.
Yeah. All right. Well, so yeah, I guess I'm going to be interviewed. And
So
then,
I think this is going to be a series of episodes we do to get to know each member of the podcast
Yep.
a little bit better. So yeah, today Jason and I are going to interview Tim, and then each episode will be...
we'll just kind of go in a rotation.
Yeah.
We'll just shift it to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
Then kind of, go from there
technically
until
be to
we're
the
done.
right.
What?
Technically it'd be to the right because of the way we're sitting, but...
Sure.
Hmm.
Because there's no one to my left, I suppose. So.
Let me write that down for your episode. Why I feel the need to correct.
Oh, okay. So yeah, these are just basically like broad questions that
Yeah.
you guys came up with. Nothing
Just
like
something to bring your personality to the fore
Yeah.
and kind of give a better understanding of you as a person.
yeah. Because I mean that was the idea, I guess, when we came up with this, is to kind of have a deep understanding of who we are.
For sure.
And since this is a more serious show that we're doing, bring some more serious topics. So cool. Well, I'm ready to begin whenever you are.
Do you want to ask the first question, Jason?
No, you wrote your questions first. You go.
All right. So my first question for Tim is, what did you aspire to be when you were a teenager? Like when you were starting to come into your personality and kind of starting to become your own person, what did you start to aspire to be in life? Did you have a direction, or did you kind of just float for a while?
Well, if you were to ask my parents or any other kind of family member, I was aspiring to be an asshole.
As most teenagers are.
Yup. But I apparently was really holding on to that.
Don't
I
make the big bucks.
was into skateboarding, and so a part of me thought that, I wanted to be some kind of heavily active person. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't say I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. I was never that good. But I thought that it would be cool to be able to be in some kind of, I guess, activity as something to do with that, whether it was like just being in some kind of sports rally or being a musician or something like that.
You wanted more of an active lifestyle?
Yes,
Okay.
when I was younger. I loved the idea of acting. I loved acting when I was in high school and stuff like that, and being a musician as well. I wanted to be like a musician. So I think that was kind of the stuff that I wanted. I wanted some kind of active lifestyle that was kind of that kind of same world, same entertainment value. I've always liked to entertain.
Right on.
'em. Um, But to be honest, in retrospect, when I looked at it, I didn't want to be a musician. I wanted to be like a musician or something like that. You wanted more of an active lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that was the idea. I guess, when we came up with this, is to kind of have a deep understanding of who we are. Yeah. it was the creativity in general. I wanted to do something that was creative, and still to this day I do. And I think that writing was one of the things that I fell into without even realizing that that was kind of the calling I need to go towards. Writing books, writing poetry, writing songs, it didn't matter. Just telling stories.
Right on.
All right. As I've gotten to know you over like 6 months now, and piggyback on your writing obsession, you have an obsession with hell, and I wonder if you want to tell the people. Am I saying? Is there a better way to say it? You are really.
I wouldn't say an obsession. I have a fascination.
Fascination. Thank you. I knew obsession was the wrong word.
I would say obsession would mean I would dive really heavily into obtaining a lot of information and a lot of things.
Hell is a common theme in a lot of your writing and a lot of your creative aspects.
And you've talked to me about it once or twice, but yeah, if you don't mind going into.
I have a fascination with ideologies overall. And when you want to look at religion, I almost despise religion as an ideology. But as a philosophy, it has some really important things. And as an imagery, it has even more interesting things. Especially when you're dealing with the Catholic or the somewhat non-hallmarky Christian views on religion, the whole heaven and hell concept. But what I find fascinating is there are a multitude of ideas and imagery towards hell that are vastly different and all the same at the same time. But heaven is not so much. It kind of has a one idea, one image, one concept of what heaven is supposed to be. And that's something that I think was like, well, that's why it's boring. And Mark Twain said it best was heaven for the climate, hell for the company. And I've always liked that because all the interesting people are going to hell.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it's that darkness. Growing up the way I grew up, having the life I had, wasn't the brightest of lights that I was embellished in. So I think that I've always been drawn into the darker side of humanity, the darker side of psychological aspects of humanity as well. But when it all comes down to, I love and have a fascination with the imagery that you can spark up with these demented, almost grotesque, almost inhumane, but yet still humane, side of what people think a hell is. And I think that's why I have an obsession, or not really an obsession, but a fascination with all things dealing with hell. All the stories that deal with it, Dante's Inferno.
That's where all the interesting things are, huh?
Yes.
On that dark side of humanity that you were saying. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And
that's
those,
where all the entertainment is.
that's what shines through the most. But people are too afraid or to
not hide it.
Well, to either dive into it to find it themselves. People don't like themselves, so they don't want to spend time with themselves. I've spent more than plenty of time with myself. In fact, I can't ever get enough time to myself. But there's always something you can learn, and I think that because I've been pretty honest with my dark side of things and all that stuff, that's where I have the just that interest and that fascination with how people envision hell. So, not from a religious standpoint, though. I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah. I'm glad you made that clear because, none of that is in your stories that you've told me about.
And that's why I like, for example, I really like the Hellraiser. Clive Barker's Hellraiser he really brought a very unique twist, or at least different style on what hell is for books and for film. And I was drawn to that because it's dark, but it's very, very deep.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. So I guess the next question for me would be, Like, what's your life philosophy? Like, what's kind of like your golden rule as far as it goes? Like, I know there's the broad sense of the golden rule, but like, what's your kind of golden rule in life?
To not, I mean, that's a little tough to really pinpoint a particular, but overall, it's courteousness. I'm not consistently just thinking about myself, especially like at work, for example. Like, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about the overall. But overall, it will help me in the same process. And that's a kind of bigger picture. But I don't think about just me. It's never just about me. I don't think I've ever truly been able to recall a point where I've just purely been selfish.
Right.
There's always something about something that has something to do with other people. But courteousness is the idea of just being nice. I'm not a mean guy. I can be pretty brutally honest. But
you seem to do it with a sense of respect and always never losing that.
Right.
Even when you've been like times we've known each other, even when you've been an asshole, it's come from a point of like, you're doing this for the better.
Yeah,
like, it's never done out of any sort of mean spirit
or spite. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't believe that there's a necessary purpose to be mean just to be mean.
Yep.
And that's why I've always said I'm not mean, I'm truthful.
Yep. Look at that.
All right. You got any, I'm just going to say, mother or father issues, parental family issues that were tough to growing up with, tough dealing with, traumatized you, changed you for the worse or better?
Absolutely. I've been pretty honest with most of my friends and even mentioned it in the podcast. Like, I was not raised, I didn't grow up like a typical person that you would think like a suburban life, you know, that typical family idea. I mean, in reality, that's not as common as movies make it out to be.
Right.
But that's why I think I was so drawn into movies, was because I wanted all of that. It's that fantasy. I got lost in those movies because like that's what I wanted. I wanted that, wanted that, wanted that. So I grew up extremely poor to the point where, you know, me and my mother were homeless several times and stuff. And I had it was just me and my mother. I think at the age of 2 or 3, my mother left my real father, so I never met him.
Oh, okay.
Never been at ink spot in my page.
Huh.
At all since then. And his name was Jason too. But
I'll change mine.
I didn't have a father figure at such a young age, but my mom had a lot of male friends. You know, she was in college when she had me. And so there was a struggle. Me and my mother had a good bond, but she was a young single mother trying to go to school, trying to keep us alive. And as much as it was terrible if you really want to look at it, it just shows you that my mother was a very strong, independent woman. And the fact that she made a lot of sacrifices just to keep me alive at such a young age, and the way that I lived really taught me life lessons that I don't think people have anymore.
And it's just you're an only child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a half brother from my father's side that I've met a couple times. But yeah, it's one of those things where I tried when I was younger to reach out and get to know him, and at some point he apparently didn't want anything to do with me, so I moved on with my life as I usually do. I'm not one to sit there and dwell too much on things. I move on.
Yeah.
That's actually a life lesson I think that I learned pretty easily is if I want to feel better, I have to look forward. I'll take all the necessary components that I needed to learn from those things, from those experiences.
The shitty situations.
Yep, and I use them. I analyze them. I break them down because that's what I do. I take what I need. I hold on to them just enough to move forward and keep them in there in case it comes back around
Yeah.
and I can use them as experience. That's how I've always lived my life. I think I've definitely been able to do it. The older I get, a lot more efficiently, for sure. Because obviously, as a younger person, I'm basically learning as the world is throwing shit at me on what to do with it, and that's the best way to learn. But it's also a very tough, challenging way to learn because you don't always know how to hold on or even what things you're supposed to hold on to. And so I had a lot of that issue. And a lot of that also came into, you know, my stepfather came in the picture when I was, I think, 6. And he was a good guy. And for the most part, he was a good guy. He was the only father figure I had for the long period of time. But he had a lot of issues that he never fixed, or that he wasn't working on, or whatever it was. And eventually he kind of took it out on me. And again, since I wasn't his son, I think there was a little bit of resentment towards the idea that he couldn't mold me in the way that he wanted or he had imagined because I was too resistant. And you guys know me well enough to know it's hard to tell me or get me to do anything.
What age were you when he...
I was 6 when he came into the picture.
Yeah.
And he left the picture when I was in the middle of my senior year. My parents got divorced.
Damn.
And I was just kind of left on my own. And there was but over the years, there's a lot of resentment. In high school, I became a teenager, all those hormones, all the things that were going on. I ended up getting super depressed. I was, I guess, diagnosed with major depression, but I was never a firm believer in medication because I quickly
You were
realized...
diagnosed, though, huh?
I was diagnosed, yep. But I never believed in medication because medication doesn't fix things. It subdues things.
Yeah.
And I was a firm believer. For my mom, the way that she made me think and stuff, I realized that no matter what my feelings were going through, it was about time and it was about just trying to do what I could. Unfortunately, as a teenager, and most teenagers do, just kind of brushed off what my parents were trying to do when they were trying to help, especially my mother.
Yeah.
And just kind of wanted to be left alone in my room to my own thoughts and my own feelings until they went away. And I wrote a lot, though.
Yeah.
That's when I started, like lyrics and things like that. Like, music became a staple. And basically, music, I think, in my opinion, saved my life. Because if I didn't have a direction to that music, I don't know what would have happened. I've never been suicidal. I've never been, thought about it necessarily to a point I would actually do it. But I think every once in a while it came into the picture of, hey, what if things just ended right now? My suffering would be over.
I don't think that's uncommon, though.
Absolutely not. But I was never one to go, I'm going to do it. I didn't need to starve for attention. And I had several friends back then, too, that did commit suicide. So it was something that I didn't want to deal with or other people to have to deal with.
True.
So
that sounds pretty courteous of you.
But there's some resentment that I still have to this day, some anger issues that I have because of my stepfather. And even though we've kind of made our peace, I mean, I don't really talk to him much. I think it's been a couple years since I last even said hi or whatever, but those things never went away. And it's something as a father now I hold in check because I know when they are there, but sometimes they just come out and it's like, that's what I don't want is my emotions to ride on impulse. And I need to be more thoughtful about it.
The issues with him is he would fly off the handle from emotion.
Yep. And a lot of it
was he a drinker? Was it a drunk thing? Okay.
No, he stopped drinking when he was younger because when he was in the Army.
Yeah.
His excuse, which I'm not going to deny that it is a reasonable excuse. I just don't care to accept it because the damage is done. You can't turn around and try to heal a scar back into a smooth flash of skin when it's already been there for several years. And that was the issue. He said that he had a post-traumatic stress disorder because of something in the military or his girl, whatever it was. I mean, he was in the military, he did have some incidences. Like he got shot in the neck when he was in the military.
Jesus.
It's friendly fire for that matter, but
Wow.
he got shot in the neck and it just went right through.
Doesn't sound that friendly.
But well, apparently some guy was cleaning his gun and dropped the magazine and went down to pick it up, but he didn't take the bullet out of the chamber and cocked it, and then when it released, it shot across the room, hit him in the neck.
Damn.
But he had some anger issues, and then therefore, when things didn't go his way, he lashed out on me because I was a bit of an asshole. So, once again,
Antagonizing, would you say? Or
I
you
don't...
probably don't even know what you were doing when you were so young. Fucking
Honestly, a lot of it comes down to is I'm not intimidated. The intimidation factor.
Right.
Don't know what it is. I just don't get intimidated by things, by people
Right.
Yeah.
very
Back
easily.
down,
Yeah, I don't usually back down, especially if you push my buttons or if you push me.
You're gonna push back even harder.
It's that's that flip of the switch, in my opinion, and that's that shit that I need to keep under control or find a way to get rid of. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find out a way to get rid of it, and I haven't tried therapy, to be honest, because a part of me doesn't think that that's really going to help, but there's a lot of things that therapists learn, practices, things of that nature,
Right.
that I think I need to trust and give a shot. It's been on my mind a lot, especially the older I get. It's all to benefit my relationship with my son.
Therapy could be an episode that we do for sure. But yeah, I see you probably are like, I've never believed in it, but you want to try it first before you totally dismiss it.
Yeah, I basically dismissed it my entire life, going, well, no. Because if basically they're going to tell me a lot of the things I'm already doing, which is sit there and analyze and figure out what the root is. I know what the root is,
Right.
but there are things that they could do, exercises and things that may actually work. And I think, like I said, the older I get, especially now that I'm a dad, that's my biggest thing is
your fear.
My relationship, needs to be 100% 180 compared to what I had as
growing up. All right.
I know that was a long-winded.
No, this is what we aim for. So
that just made me feel like I asked an all right question.
Yeah.
You definitely sparked a bit of a nerve. So
I knew the second he asked it, we were going to be here for a bit. So I guess my next question is, what do you hope to accomplish before your time's up? Like, I'm going to say it that way. So, I mean, it doesn't even mean like before you die, but like, what's something you hope to accomplish before you can't do it anymore?
I do rely on my brain.
Right.
You know, sometimes I wish I didn't, but
we all wish we could rely on our looks.
I'm so jealous of stupid people. They seem so happy. Their vacant eyes. It looks so.
Honestly,
someone with money.
I look at Thomas sometimes, and I'm just going, man, that must be nice.
Yeah,
just be that fool.
Removed from reality.
Yep. But it would never.
No, it's impossible.
Because I wouldn't want to live that lifestyle.
You wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, I would. I think I've been worse off than him, and he's pretty bad. So either way, the point is, I've always had 3 goals in my life, and they seem a little far-fetched, but it's just always something I've wanted to do.
Right.
One is write a book. You know, be an author, like a published author, and technically I am because I've written a couple of published poems that are in books behind you, Aram, but. I don't like them, and I think they're just horseshit. So I don't like to
talk about them.
I don't like that. Doesn't count, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay.
He doesn't like to brag about them, but he just said it on a fucking podcast.
It's not about bragging.
We're being vulnerable here.
I really just they're horseshit. I don't even know how they got published. So.
I feel like that's the sign of a true artist, though. Like, I don't think any artist is truly satisfied with any of their work.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
Fair
that's what
statement.
Macklemore says in one of his songs, and I love. Because it's true, but that's not the point. I want to write a book though. Like I want to be a storyteller. So I want to be an author. I want to write books. The other is music. I've always wanted to write an album. At one point in my life, I had like 20 songs that were ready to be put out there in some world of music, whether it was little hooks here and there, but I had like 20 songs like ready to go back in like high school when I was writing them all. And that was where I was like, I would love to just write an album, whether it's for me or whether I can get it out there. It didn't really matter. I just wanted to write from, start to finish, a full completed album of my songs. And the other was to either be in a movie, make a movie, or write a movie.
Hell yeah.
Seems like 3 goals.
That is, well, one of them is 3 and 1, but I would take either or.
Right.
Is really what it is. If I had the opportunity to write a script, that'd be great. I don't think I have the chops to direct by any means. I don't think I have that kind of visionary ability. But I would love to act in one, even if it's just a fucking, I don't know, me, a gas station guy.
Just a one-line sort of bit.
Yeah. I love acting. I went and did a casting call, and I freaking thought it was great. But I don't have the look to be on screen, especially as a lead. So make me just a background side little character. I'd be okay with it.
You'd probably just like to be in that environment on set, around all them fucking.
Yes.
Even if you were a camera guy, you'd be fucking happy.
Probably. Absolutely. Because I love film.
Yeah.
I love movies. So, but I would say that in the end, I would just love to write a script or something, because I have several. I always, when I think about a story idea, I go, would this be a good movie? Would this work out better in film, or would this be a good book? And I determine the factors a lot before I start to go in and start to think about more of the details, because that makes a world of difference. If I think it's more better for a book, like I have a lot of things I want to say, and it's less about the imagery,
that's a book.
Book for sure. If it's more like, hey, there's good things and imagery that I could not put into, like symbolism and things like that, obviously a film. So
you would like to do one of those 3 things before you catch dementia?
Absolutely.
I'd like to point out you can't catch dementia.
I already caught her. She's upstairs. Hey, her mom has dementia, and it's pretty bad. And it's genetic. It's hereditary.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting until she goes, and there's signs.
As soon as she is of age, I'm putting her in a home.
I think she's of age right now. Oh, you're talking about her mother? Oh. No.
You really you got to get a coat on your side. There's no age limit.
That's true.
Right.
That was kind of dark. Sorry.
But true.
Most truth, it gets dark. Yeah. So you like to use your brain. Have you ever deliberately stopped trying to use your brain through drugs? Have you ever been addicted to drugs for several years, months, weeks, anything like that? And what drug?
I don't have an addictive personality.
Okay.
And I think I've been way too aware of myself and what I'm doing and everything about it to have an addiction. The closest thing I would say to an addiction that I've had is alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
There has obviously been points in my life I was drinking so much, just every night I was just putting it away. And then there's one point where I just stopped for a weekend, got the whole fucking shakes, the whole sweats.
Really?
But that's a physicality and not an actual addiction. That's the body going, hey, wait a minute, we just got in a groove of this. Now you're gonna cut us off?
Just a recalibration.
Right. Yeah, and so I don't call it an addiction because if I was
no mental component.
Yeah, if I was addicted to it, then I wouldn't have been able to stop for the weekend. I would have figured that out.
Yeah.
So, I've never been really addicted. The closest I would say is alcohol. Although I do like my Vicodin.
Really?
I like Vicodin a lot. Not addicted, but it's a fantastic drug. If you ever want to see a perfect, happy little Timmy floating on a cloud all day, just give me some Vicodin.
Have I ever seen that, Tim?
No, because I haven't touched Vicodin since I was at Chipotle. So
Okay.
Yep, they gave me some mild Vicodin stuff for I had a bruised lung because I had coughed so much that I had actually torn some muscle in my lungs.
Jesus.
And so they gave me some very mild Vicodin, and I guess the reason why they gave me the Vicodin was because they didn't have anything that would have been off-brand stuff or whatever with a high enough dosage to do what it should have done. And since the severity of the lungs, dealing with the lungs, they felt that was all. But they only gave me like, I don't know, like 10.
Yeah.
And so I had to use it accordingly.
Sure.
I did for about 3 days.
3 days, 10, huh?
That's 10 Vicodin in 3 days. I mean, you could probably eat that up pretty quick.
You snorting or swallowing?
No, I popped them. I popped
Yeah.
like 2. But back in high school is when I found out I liked Vicodin.
Okay.
My stepfather broke his, apparently I pissed him off, where he decided to punch his bedroom door, which was made out of solid oak.
Is his name Kyle?
No. He punched the door made of solid oak, and he broke his pinky.
Yeah.
And they gave him some Vicodin, but he never took it. And the reason why is because they gave him Vicodin was because of his neck injury from the shotgun. He had some muscle issues that kind of never really went away.
Yeah.
And it aggravated it because it was his alarm kind of thing. And he never took it, so I took it. I was depressed.
You stole it, or he gave it to you?
No, I fucking stole it.
It's Tim. Do you really think you would ask for permission?
It's true.
I was just trying to gauge how the level of piece of shit this guy is. If he's giving kids Vicodin.
But my first experience with the stuff was I went to the doctor. I had bronchitis in high school, so I went to the doctor. So I was late to school, went to the doctor. They prescribed me codeine cough syrup. I didn't know what the fuck that was. But apparently it's a lot more potent than just regular codeine. Typical codeine. I didn't know what the fuck codeine was back then. I thought it was just regular cough syrup.
It's similar to Oxycontin, isn't it? Okay, yeah, I don't know.
I guess. I mean, it's a narcotic of some sort, but
back to your point.
they gave me codeine cough syrup. It was just like a little flask, like a little 3-ounce flask or whatever. But I didn't know how much to take either, because fuck, I'm not gonna read I'm not gonna read what I need to do. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do.
You're a man. You don't read instructions.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just like filled up a shot, and then I grabbed 3 Vicodin and popped those in my mouth too. Made my way on to school. Well, my school was about a 5-minute drive, and then
Oh no.
so at about, I made my way, and then there was this one particular part where I had to take a little roundabout. It was like the first roundabout that they had in Buffalo, and once I hit this little curve, and I went to that neighborhood, all of a sudden I started swerving to one side of the road, going to the other side of the road.
Damn.
And then I remember going into school, and that was about it.
Wow.
And
It's like the first time I had Dilaudid.
my girlfriend at the time, I came out of class. I don't remember much of anything. Like I just remember walking down the stairs, and all of a sudden, I'm like, the fuck am I going? And then I see my girlfriend over there, and I give her a hug or whatever. She looks at me, and is like, are you high right now? And I'm like,
It's entirely possible.
I'm pretty sure I am. I'm feeling pretty good. And I guess my buddy who was big into ecstasy back then said that he thought I was on ecstasy because my pupils were so fucking big. And I don't know. So you look like a puppy dog. I'm like, I don't know what that means. It's like, well, when you take ecstasy, you look like a puppy dog. I'm like, I still don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I never really got into heavy drugs. I did some coke a little bit, like just a bump here and there. And
When you were drinking.
Yeah. Drinking was probably the only thing, and I still do, but I'm not a hardcore alcoholic by any means. Alcoholism runs in my family on both sides. My real father apparently was an alcoholic piece of shit. My grandfather, that I'm pretty close with, he had battled with alcoholism for a little while, and then he eventually stopped, and because he had a motorcycle accident, and he has a steel plate in his head, so he stopped drinking after that.
That makes you have to stop drinking?
No, he stopped because of the fact he had an accident, and
he
had to get a steel plate in his head. So he's like, well, I don't want that again.
I just didn't understand the correlation from what. Sorry.
Well, so I think because I was aware of those things, though, I've always kept that shit under lock. I've never let it affect me. I've never pushed it that far. Other than that, mushrooms, I couldn't even fucking take mushrooms. I tried mushrooms twice.
Yeah, that's right.
Twice in a drastic period of time, and I threw up both times almost instantly and never got anything. I just got a horrible stomach ache. and a nasty, nasty taste in my mouth.
It's because mushrooms are gross.
No, totally. I don't want to do them anymore. I don't, or ever again. Like since then, and I've never, as much as I've wanted to hallucinate, I've never had the balls to try to do any LSD of any sort because that shit could fuck you up, and this is too precious for me. It's my brain, my health in general.
And the problem to actually hallucinate, you need to do a high dosage like your fucking codeine syrup
Right.
story. And that's where you get fucked up is if you
Just like Kurt told me that one time. Remember Kurt from Boulder? You might have been before your time. Kurt was a prepper that was really into drugs and told me one day I needed to do acid. I was like, oh yeah? And he's like describing all the stuff about acid, and then he talked about tripping balls for like 8 hours. I was like, how long acid lasts? Like, oh no, that's mushrooms. Like acid lasts for like 24 hours. I was like, dude, I got shit to do.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I smoke. A mutual person that we know, he made one of the first times he was making some edibles for me because I don't like smoking weed. I don't have a thing against weed. I just never liked smoking it. I have done it. Used to do it all the time. I was a big pothead when I was fucking like 12 because I started smoking when I was 11. Just to skateboard.
Skateboarding was part of the lifestyle, yeah.
What was that?
Be down to try some edibles at this point in my life.
It has some appropriate purposes, for sure. Helps mellow people down a lot, but I don't know. I got shit to do. Right. Sometimes I'm like, God.
It seems like a bedtime thing for me and my age and responsibilities.
Right. But he made me some edibles and he told me, and they were just silver dollar cookies with a couple M&Ms on it and stuff that he did. But he told me, it's like, all right, man, it's like, just be careful. And he's like, don't eat the whole thing. I apparently ignored that part. And I went to a friend's house, a lady friend of mine that I was kind of seeing, and we were watching watching a movie or a Supernatural or something. I had to scarf down a cookie. And in the middle of Supernatural, it started kicking in. And I got this weird like moment of clarity or epiphany about like angels and the Reaper and how angels are little bitches compared to Reapers, and like the Reapers are so much more powerful than angels. And then I just went on this whole fucking thing. And then I went home and then I watched the entire season of New Girl. And
I think you've told me this story.
Yeah, and I just couldn't shut my fucking brain. I was for 5 hours. I was on a goddamn roller coaster, and I just wanted it to end. And so I kind of learned quickly after that.
It's not for you?
No, nibble.
Nibble, okay.
So, but yeah, drugs has never been for me.
Hell yeah.
So my last question is, would you consider yourself like an introvert or an extrovert? Like, are you more outgoing, or are you kind of like a homebody, sort of like do your own thing sort of person?
Right now,
I mean, kind of
overall.
As a whole, like, would you consider yourself one or the other? Or do you kind of fall in between?
It shifts. I think that when I was younger, I was extremely. Like, you couldn't keep me in the fucking house. I couldn't do anything. Like, all I wanted to do was not be at home.
Sure.
So I would go and spend fucking a couple days over at friends' house, even though I didn't want to be over. I was more willing to go out. Now that was usually in high school. My mother would call me a social butterfly because since the day I was able to walk in diapers, I've always been around people. Mm-hmm. Growing up on a college campus and stuff like that.
Sure.
I don't know. And as a kid, same thing. I would always talk to people and whatever. The older I get, the more I want people to stay the fuck away. And the more I just want to stay in my own home.
Sure.
I don't like people. The older I get, the more I don't like people. And I never saw the appeal to people when I was younger now. So I'm turning into an introvert for sure.
All right.
But I think it's a fine line because I don't want to just completely cut myself off. I just want to know that there's a handful of people that mean enough for my attention or my time to be dispersed into appropriately. And
so you know when to be one or the other.
Yeah.
It's kind of
I think
you're getting better at choosing when and
yes,
maybe.
Because there's a period, especially not all that long ago, I'd say about before Kaylee and I, started seeing each other too, there's a good 10 years where I was battling with both, where I didn't want to be around anybody because I was not in the state of mind, but yet I could not be by myself. I was thriving for that, some kind of social connection.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a good way because I knew as fucked up as I was mentally and not being able to handle my emotions, I was not going to do anything for anybody. So I would go and drink. That was the best way I could do. Go to a bar and drink. Socialize with whoever else is there or find a good spot that I did like it was with work or something like that. Socialize with those people. Why? Because there's a sense of commonality at that point. They serve alcohol and I consume the alcohol. We can have a discussion at that. So,
you feed me long enough, I'll hang out.
Right. But I think in reality, it was because I was trying to distract my brain and my emotions from each other. They didn't correlate. They weren't on the same page. They didn't look eye to eye. They were basically fucking fisticuffing each other to the point where I couldn't handle it. So I needed to bring alcohol into it to kind of help separate them enough to just be able to function.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I know Aram's seen me at that period of time a couple times. But.
Oh yeah.
Tim, would you consider yourself a leader? Do you want to be a leader?
I think I'm a leader by
default.
Yeah.
Because you have the capabilities, but it's up reluctant.
I'm not a follower.
Right.
Unless somebody has to have a good reason for me to want to follow them. I'm very independent.
Yeah.
But I think that I have a confidence to my independency, to my own life. I don't usually trend off of people. Depending on what it is, I just have that sense of confidence. If I know what it is, or I know the right things, or whatever it comes down to, then I do it. Whether or not people are going to follow me, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not intentionally doing it to be a leader. I'll lead if I have to. I don't want to. Somebody has to do it. Sure.
My experience has always been that you just sort of impose your will where it's needed.
Because it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
Oh, duh, that's what you said by needed.
And I'm sorry to roll over you, but I mean, that's always been my experience. Like, you lead by necessity. It's not like that you thought you were a better leader. You just stepped into the role because no one else was accomplishing it as well as you knew it could be done.
Yeah. I'm not doing it for a glory mark.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because it should get done.
You always knew the times we worked together, you've always known the ladder, or the chain of command. You've known where it's set and where you were on it, but you just moved into the positions that needed to be filled and did what you needed to do.
Now, one thing that kind of got me a little bit of backlash from a lot of those authority figures is me telling them my opinions and thoughts very clearly or very forwardly. Hey,
I relate to that.
Or this isn't right, or this is how things should be done. Why isn't it happening?
Yeah.
Right. Challenging those things and then them going, well, it's not your place. I'm like, absolutely it is. If I'm doing it, if I'm working in it, it's my place.
Right.
I'm not telling you necessarily how to do your job. I'm just saying you're not doing it. Figure it out.
Yeah, because the lack of not doing it is affecting you.
Absolutely.
And you're trying, yes. I've been in that position many, many times.
I also, when you're dealing with my money, nothing's going to interfere with me having to do something with, to make my money. And eventually when you are not doing your job and it's affecting my job to the point that it's making it either not working enough to succeed where I need to, then you're fucking with my money.
Right.
And at the most of my time and most of my life, I've not been as set off as I am now or as responsible. So I needed every cent that came my way.
Yeah.
Now it's not so much. So I can have a little bit of leisure because, well, as long as everything's covered, which now, dual income really helps. Having a family, all that, things, the pressure's a little alleviated. So I don't have to worry about so much like I did before. Things aren't as tight. I actually have room to breathe, which I have not had. And most of my fucking life. So
Yeah.
I don't take those roles on anymore. Right. I don't have to.
Right. But if you're as a capable leader, is there like an ideal situation that you would be the leader in, like a writer's room, military, fucking this is
I mean, that's all a little bit I guess it's at that point fictional. Like it's something I'd have to.
You've never thought about it? Yeah, I get that.
No, honestly, I don't think I've ever really thought about if there's a position in something that I would be a leader in to success. I feel like I need to give you an answer, but I have to sit on it just a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
I feel like the times you and I have collaborated on stuff, like between writing and stuff like that, because of your vision and your thought process, you kind of took on the leadership role. That's the
podcast.
The podcast. Yeah, the podcast, the times we've written like that play we started to write. Yep. I mean, you were always kind of the lead on it, and I just supported where I could. So I feel like anything like creative and collaborative, like you tend to take, because it's always tends to be your vision. If that, not saying like you're not open to other ideas, but like it always tends to be like what we're working on is something that you brought forward as an idea.
Yeah.
So it becomes your vision, so you take the lead on it. And I think that's where you end up as the leader, like de facto. De facto.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that's pretty true. I mean, that's why I consistently like with our podcasts, making it very clear, like I'm not dictating anything.
Yeah.
Like
you don't have a lead singer mentality.
Yeah,
the ego is in fucking through the roof.
Yeah. It's not that you demand the leadership, but I mean it's your vision and you know the way you want it to come out. And I mean Jason and I are pretty okay with that.
Yeah.
Like we're here because we enjoy what we do and like we're along for the ride.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like we just enjoy doing what we're doing. So I mean we're cool with you kind of dictating some things.
I think you're right about something that it kind of becomes a little bit of a flaw as well for me, I think.
Yeah.
Is my vision. If I do have a vision, it's really hard for me to accept a change in that vision unless it's a something that I think puts even better, which
I've had said plenty of ideas to you, and you're like, okay, yeah, that will help and add to it. So
Tim has a hard time compromising.
I can compromise.
You can. You just have a hard time with it.
Too. It's not for selfish needs by any means either. It's not like it's all about what I want.
It's the artistic part of you, because no artist is truly settled on like he's always got work to do. And he wants it to be perfect. It's the artist part of you.
Do you have attachment issues with your visions?
Yes, I do. I really do.
And I think it's adorable.
I do. It's hard, and I have trouble with criticism to that extent too. Is unfortunately it makes me feel a little bit better when I think one of you guys told me about Kevin Smith, when he's like, no, I wrote this fucking the way I want to write it. Your studio can come in and try to tell me how to write my movies. Fuck them. I'm making it my way.
Yeah, and he's gotten a.
I get that. That's how I feel, but there is a certain point, and Neil Gaiman says this. He's one of the writers I respect a lot, and he says, like, you got to take the criticism. You just got to know when to use it.
Right.
And that's the hard part that I think a lot of people have is you don't have to, you have to take all the criticism. When your friends say, hey, do this. When your friends say, oh, that sucked, or whatever, or this is great, you got to take it. But know what, you have to take all that stuff, sit back, sit in your little room, close the door, analyze those criticisms to go, which one was right, which one would work better, how would I do this? And you don't have to take any of it. It's just a matter of
just check and see if it applies and
don't be above it.
Yep.
In a beneficial way.
And I think that's something that I try to do a lot, but I'm also going, no, I don't think that's going to work.
Yep.
And I don't know, you basically would have to convince me otherwise. And I don't think a lot of people have been able to do that. But I also have this battle with, it's not just about me. It's not just about my vision. I'm not here to dictate. I don't want to be a tyrant or, whatever. This is supposed to be fun. This is whatever it is. There are other people who want a part of this too, whether it's writing or music or whatever. So I don't want to dictate it.
Yeah,
that's not what I'm about. So I don't need all the glory.
Yeah, but that was my last question.
I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Yep.
Got my 4.
All right. Well, I guess that
was fun.
I was like, yeah,
We got to know you. I learned some shit.
Yeah, most definitely.
What did you learn? What was it that you're taking away from this, Jason? Since you are the newer one, I mean, Aram's known me longer, so some of this is actually probably none of this is really new.
Not really new for me,
but
right. I can't pinpoint anything, but I just remember having a couple like, oh no shit moments. But yeah, my memory is too bad to pinpoint or quote. But I look forward to listening to this episode. 20 seconds.
I think
10-second Bob.
I think our listeners are probably got a better understanding of
That's what I was going to get at.
Yeah. So.
And that's the whole point of this, is to get to know us and our level of, before we tackle these serious subjects, if you will. Things that matter, or I don't know.
Just give us a feel of where we stand in life and our philosophies.
And how much we are not experts. And how average we really are.
And I think that's the one thing that really, really, why I feel like this show is important to me, at least, is to give that idea that the average man, the average person doesn't need a fancy degree or diploma on the wall to have a say in something and make it not canon, not make it,
It better be canon, our opinions. We're affected by all these fucking serious topics that were mentioned throughout the episodes.
Right.
Stuff.
All right.
All right. Don't know how to close the show. Tim, got any ideas on that? I don't. Mr. Leader.
Well, this has been The Average Man, and thank you for listening.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.